An organization that brings meals and human contact to the elderly is expanding its services. To bring us up to date is the Executive Director of Little Brothers Friends of the Elderly, Nikki Therrien. Thank you very much for being with us, Nikki.
Hey, thanks for having me.
First of all, I think people who've heard about your group, they say, oh, isn't it something they do on the holidays? But talk about that and why it's important.
Yeah, so most of the people that know Little Brothers names know us because of the holidays. Our biggest programs are on Thanksgiving and around the winter holiday times, where we can bring in hundreds of volunteers to visit hundreds of elderly with a meal and flowers and companionship during a very lonely time of year. But that's not all we do. We certainly have year-round programs, and those programs are growing.
Well, I know there's some people here, we all have families, people in different generations, and we know about older people with lots of relatives, but you're serving older people who maybe don't have lots of relatives nearby.
Yeah, we focus our services on isolated and lonely elders. That could be because their family lives in another country or another city, state, or some people have outlived everyone they've known, or they just don't have any contacts in the area.
What about immigrants? We have a lot of those, so I imagine some immigrant elders too?
Yeah, and that's a group that we're really trying to focus on with some of our new programming. The City of Boston puts out an age report every so often and has statistics about aging in the city. And 19% of Boston elders are linguistically isolated, which means that they don't speak a language other than English. And so that limits the services and the people that they can meet and have in their lives. So we've been working a lot with volunteers and students who are from other countries or speak other languages to really start bringing services to these traditionally underserved people.
We're talking with Nikki Therrien of Little Brothers Friends of the Elderly. What's so important about these encounters, bringing the food? Because I have a feeling this is more than just giving somebody something to eat.
Yeah, so our motto at Little Brothers is flowers before bread. It's an imperfect translation from our French founder, but the gist of it is that, in addition to food and a place to live, it's just as important to have someone to love and be loved by. So the companionship, the visit part is really for social and emotional health and well-being, because everyone needs a friend, everyone needs someone in their lives. And our volunteers really are looking for more than just a drop-off. They're looking to form a relationship with someone they'd otherwise not be able to meet.
And of course, part of what you're doing here, and I know there are other things working, we hope, in the same direction, is you're helping older people age in place.
Yeah, and that's a very important thing. If you ask anyone what their plans are for when they retire or when they're older, very few people say that they want to, go into a nursing home or leave their home. And especially in Boston, that's a big issue with housing and increased property tax. So it's really important for our elder services communities to make it possible for people to age in place and stay in their home and be able to live their golden years the way that they had planned and wanted to.
Well, recently you got a grant from Walmart to do some more. Talk about that.
Yeah, so that was really exciting for us. Walmart's a well-known big corporate brand, and so it's a competitive grant, but we just threw our hat in the ring trying to do something different and finding a new way to bring some revenue in. We were granted $25,000 from the state giving program, and that program is for hunger and food programs. So what we'll do with that money is we'll expand our meal deliveries for the holidays. We also have an emergency food pantry for people that get stuck. They find themselves coming home from rehab or a hospital for a few weeks, nothing in their house. Meals on Wheels hasn't started yet, so we can bring over food for another week and keep them going.
We're talking with Nikki Therrien of Little Brothers Friends of the Elderly. So if I'm an elder and maybe I'm just in a bind, like you mentioned a little while ago, if I want to get some help, how do I get in touch with you about that?
Sure, so we work with people 70 and over, and you can give us a call at our office at 617-524-8882. Or you can find us online if you're connected at littlebrothersboston.org.
What about the volunteers? I know we mentioned they bring food and they bring flowers, but what else do you train them to do?
We're really, this is a big lofty goal, but we're really trying to create culture change. We're working a lot with college students and younger people to bring them into senior housing buildings or BHA buildings or our space in Jamaica Plain to celebrate life with the elderly, to meet these people that they don't cross paths with in their everyday life because either they're isolated to their home or they're just not in the same places. And we really want people to grow up honoring the elderly and being, oh, I remember that relationship I had with Jane while I was in college. I should go help my elderly neighbor or reach out to the older folks in my neighborhood.
Talk about what that's like, because I think when I was that age, I normally thought that I only wanted to be around people my own age. I mean, why would I want to go to some elderly high-rise and talk to somebody I don't know from a hole in the wall? But talk about what that's like when you spend a little time with someone.
Sure. So a lot of our students, they come to Little Brothers because it's something they've never done before and it's an opportunity that's never arisen. And of course, when we first meet our students, they're a little nervous, anxious. What am I going to talk about? What do I have in common with this person that's 50, 60 years older than me? And then we talk to them at the end of the semester, catching up, how'd it go? What are your final thoughts? And every time it's like, I really had no idea that I would become this close to this person or that I had so much to say. And it's, you learn about the city's history, the country's history, and how things were before and get some life advice.
And when I've experienced this a few times, I felt that people were very receptive, and I was almost humbled by it. I mean, this must happen to your volunteers too.
Yeah, it's to welcome them in their home.
Well, yes, when you're welcome to them, and they're just so glad that you came and spent some time engaging with them.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time as an organization getting to know the elders that we serve so they can trust our organization. So we kind of build that rapport. So when we send volunteers and they say, oh, we're from Little Brothers, the elders, oh, come on in. Like, they've had some great experiences with our volunteers before. And they just know that the people coming are coming out of love. They don't have to be there. They want to be there.
Well, I know you need some volunteers, especially some volunteers who can speak some of the other languages besides English. So what should they do if they want to follow that up?
Sure. So we, like you said, we're especially looking for volunteers that speak languages other than English, especially Russian and Mandarin and Spanish. So if you're out there, you want to get involved, again, our number is 617-524-8882. You can ask for me. My name's Nikki. Or you can go through our website, littlebrothersboston.org, and there's online registration, really easy.
Thank you very much for being with us, Nikki.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Nikki Therrien from Little Brothers Friends of the Elderly. We'll have more news in just a moment.